Good evening, everyone. And today we are here to discuss about the current affairs part for society perspective, right? So you guys must have seen the questions of previous year, which are coming from the society as well as the correlation between society, economics, or polity, or some other sections. Like the main topics which you can see related to that in the Indian society aspect and also the social justice aspect. But few questions you can see in your prelims examination also. There can be questions related to certain acts, some new laws which has been passed. There can be questions related to some reports or some initiatives taken by different governments at different state level as well as center level mainly. So you guys have the PPTs, right? So in society, we'll be having certain key discussions, and based on that, we'll be understanding what are the important key points which we need to take care in our mind so that we can solve those questions at the same time. So let's start. The first PPT is related to health and sanitation, where different topics we'll be discussing today. The first topic is this PRET and Big Catchup initiative, then National Health Accounts Estimates, National Family Health Survey 5, few key points which you need to know from here, then Anganwadi system, organ donation in India, water sanitation and hygiene, that WASH report, and open defecation free status at different levels like ODF plus, ODS, and something more than that. But the major point behind all this is why we are discussing it today. There were certain news, certain things which you must have read in the newspaper related to all these issues, and based on that, it makes its importance in your examination. For say the first topic, which is PRET and Big Catchup initiative, they can give you a simple question. The initiative is for, with this short form of PRET and Big Catchup, and there they can give you different options, and based on that, you have to check the answers. Then that National Health Account Estimates, National Family Health Survey, everything is correlated. Why so? Because there were different government initiatives, and also at different programs, the government is claiming that we are doing a lot of things for health infrastructure as well as expenditure part. And how it is improving at different levels, that we need to check. So with that, let's start health and sanitation part with PRET and Big Catchup initiative. You might have seen one news related to, like in 2022 prelims, there was a question related to health only, where they have given this report is being published by these two particular organizations, and there was a mistake. That means that option was not correct. So with that, you have to keep those things in mind, that related to health, what would be the major organizations which will be dealing with it, like the publishing the reports or taking certain initiatives. For say this PRET and Big Catch initiative, why we are discussing it? It was in news. It is being launched by WHO, please come in, and the partners to improve pandemic preparedness and improve child vaccination. So the first thing which will come in our mind, that what is the program in India which is being run by the government for immunization in India, and how many diseases are being covered into that. So you guys must be knowing what is that program related to immunization in India. Child immunization, yes. Yes, Mission Indradhanush. But during the time of COVID-19, when the 2 years were there, so that time this was somewhat derailed. Not completely, but to a larger extent this was derailed. So the government has extensively included the different aspects into it. But here we are discussing about an issue which is being published and launched by WHO. So at the international level, the initiative is Big Catchup initiative, where they will be covering different countries which are majorly lacking in the vaccination process throughout the world. So with that, let's start with this PRET initiative. It is the preparedness and resilience for emerging threats. If you know the full form, you know what it is going to do. but usually we don't know the full form, and the exam will come directly like what is PRET initiative. So with that, I have just told you it has been launched by WHO under the framework of International Health Regulations IHR 2005 में हुआ था. It was officially announced at the global meeting for future respiratory pathogens pandemics in Geneva, Switzerland. This is not much important. The important thing is it was launched by WHO. Post this, you need to go ahead. What is the main goal of it? So the main goal of PRET is to enhance global preparedness for future pandemic by focusing on groups of pathogens categorized by their modes of transmission. You might have heard BS3, BS5 labs at different countries, and also they are working under different regimes with WHO, associated with WHO or some international organizations. Similarly, they will be focusing on these pathogens which can have a disastrous effect on the society, like we have seen in near past. Next to PRET initiative, now we'll move ahead to Big Catch-up initiative. Just a minute. This Big Catch-up initiative is from multiple organizations, not just one. That is WHO, UNICEF. We all know what UNICEF does. Then Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and other global and national health partners. So even if it comes in your examination, they can give two. So you have to focus on that. There are multiple organizations, and these are very common, so you will be able to remember at the same time. What it does, it aims to counteract the backlog in routine vaccination. And why it was caused, I have just told you, by the pandemic, which was in 2021 and 2022. Again, this Big Catch initiative is having more attention on the 20 countries. अब ये 20 countries कौन सी होंगी, we all know, like the developing countries or the least developed countries where the programs cannot be followed properly because of certain issues. So the countries, they have also mentioned few countries like Afghanistan, Brazil, India, Nigeria and some other countries, but the number is 20 there. And now you need to know what are the major diseases also, like measles, diphtheria, polio and yellow fever. Now what they can do is, they can frame a statement that Mission Indradhanush is a version of Big Catch initiative, Catch-up initiative, or something like Mission Indradhanush is under this Big Catch-up initiative. So what do you guys think? Is it under this, or it's an independent scheme of the government or plan of the government? It's an independent plan of the government, right? So based on that, Mission Indradhanush is having how many diseases are being covered under the vaccination process? Yeah, there are 7. And like 7 to 8 diseases are there. The 7 vaccination program is there with Indradhanush, and that's why the name Indradhanush is there. But how much percentage of kids or children have got those vaccinations? Any idea? No issues with that because they are not going to ask. Again, there will be certain states which are very much attentive and also they are following the norms very properly. So their things will be there. But there will be certain states like Bihar, might be Odisha or Assam, not Odisha but Assam and some other states where these problems can lie. Now the second issue for today is National Health Accounts Estimates. So why we need this National Health Account Estimates? The question number 1 is that, and post that we'll be having that discussion. So why we need this? Okay. Yes, you were saying something. So anything related to DNA, genetics, you guys might have read about that, where like 1,000 people have been involved in the process of having the studies for the DNA and other things. Those defects can help out. Indigen, yes. And what about world? Do we have anything like that in India for plants or seeds? Where? Yeah. So National Health Account estimates. Recently, why it was in news, for 2019 and 2020 were released by National Health System Resource Center of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So just because it has accounts, might be you can get some statement that Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation or some other ministry is giving the data regarding the same. But that will be a very easy thing, so that UPSC is not going to give at any cost. Just a minute. So why it is important? There are certain data and trends which we expect that our out-of-pocket expenditure has increased in past few years on health expenditure, but the government data says something else related to it. Like the out-of-pocket expenditure in total expenditure has reduced from 62.6% to 47.1%. Again, the government's health expenditure share has increased, and there will be certain few things related to it that you will need in your mains examination, that what are the key points behind it. Then share of government health expenditure in total expenditure has also significantly increased, almost by 10%. And the per capita government is spending on health has almost doubled again. What you can get is in your prelims examination, they can frame some statement that either it has declined or it has halved, something like that. So for just for that sake, you need to know on every aspect they have improved. You need not to mug up the numbers. You just need to know on every aspect they have improved or almost doubled, especially this per capita expenditure part, what I feel. Suppose that the share of primary healthcare in current government health expenditure has also increased to an extent. So what would be the things, what you think, what would be the things which government has involved, which is showing that this expenditure has increased? The budgetary provisions, you can say, like, but health budget may they have improved a bit, not much, very significant improvement is not there. Ayushman Bharat, that so Ayushman Bharat is for what? Secondary, tertiary, or all three levels? Tertiary. Secondary is also there in Ayushman Bharat, yes, the Jan Arogya Yojana, and now they have also included that wellness part. So there might be some statement related to it where wellness is also included there. Suppose this out-of-pocket expenditure share has decreased, that you need to know, and you should keep this in mind also. Then the third thing is that National Family Health Survey 5 report. Why this report is very important? I know we can quote this in mains, but at the same time, you must be having some points in your mind. You must have read. That's why I just asked. From? Okay. On all the parameters we have improved, right? But there are certain reports which are claiming we have not improved a lot. There is not much substantial improvement there. Any state which has not improved on this? Any particular state? Except Bihar, all the states have improved, I guess. Because there were certain news related to that Bihar has not improved. So you should keep that in mind, that certain statement again can come that all the states and UTs have improved on the same number. Then the key data from NFHS 5 report, and again, who conducts this? It is funded by this USAID and other things, but who conducts this on the behalf of government? Health Ministry. Be more specific. Okay. And how they do so? No, they are not doing it. Then nothing much about it. It is an International Institute for Population Sciences, and that institute does it with their the workers within them or the operators within them. With them, they took this survey. They does this survey. Until now, we have this. This is the fifth one, and from when it started, that should also be in your mind, because this report has been so much into debates, just for that sake. So it all started by in 1992. The first report came in 1992 itself. Then this National Family Health Survey is a large-scale multi-model survey. All this you know. You just need to know about this, that it has been, the funding is being provided by USAID, the Bill and Melinda Gates funds, UNICEF, United Nations funds, FPA, and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Now the question can come in your examination, what is the role of Anganwadi workers then? You all know that. Right? So are they in urban areas also, or they are in rural areas only? Complete rural areas, right? And what are the works are being assigned to them? Childbirth. Are you sure about it? Institutional, yeah, exactly. That's the point. You have to utilize the entire terms. But okay, that's okay. And what else? Nutrition. The major perspective is related to the nutrition part, mainly. Right, related to the lactating women's nutrition, adolescent girls, childs up to 0 to 6 years. Major things are there. Now these are the indicators which you just said that it is around almost 2%. So the total fertility rate is 2%, contraceptive prevalence rate is 67%, which has increased. And also the full immunization aspect, if we talk about in kids aged between 12 to 23 months, is 76%. A significant percentage is there now. Sex ratio of total population is 1020. These numbers are not going to come. That is for sure in your examination. There can be chances that one question might come, but for that you need not to mug up all the numbers. You just have to keep the near around thing in your mind. That is the only thing. Then anemia among women is 57.7%. So if you will see, what does this report suggest? It has increased. So there can be some statement related to it, like it has decreased or consistently decreased, but this is not the case. Again, anemia among children aged 6 to 59 months, it has also increased. Institutional births have significantly increased. It is now 88% of the births are happening in institutional. Children under 5 who are stunted, we have decreased it like by 3%, but we need more at the same time. And the children under 5 who are wasted, 19.3%. Underweight, 32 . On every parameter we have improved except these two, the anemia thing. So that you should keep in mind, and also the stunting part, wasting part, and underweight part. You need to keep this in mind from the perspective of Global Hunger Index report, because there can be certain statement related to it. That is based on this report. Is it? The answer is simply no. It is not based on this report. So you should keep that in mind as well. Then the third is the Anganwadi system in India. The biggest problem of this system is that they are being paid very less at the same time. So the security towards their life or further things are not there, like 2,500 rupees or 1,500 rupees, something like that they are being paid. So is there any state who have increased the Mande or salary for these Anganwadi system? Odisha, okay. Are you sure about Odisha? Yeah, they give incentives. That is the point. but that needs to be corrected for a particular segment. So let's understand why this was in news and what are the major key things which you need to know from prelims perspective only. Recently, the Ministry of Women and Child Development launched a National Aanganwadi Protocol for Divyang children. So were they being covered earlier? Now we have a separate protocol, but they were being covered because they are also child, right? So that is a very basic thing which you need to know. Origin and purpose is like part of integrated child development program service launched in 1975, enhancing the health and nutritional status of children aged between 0 to 6 years, pregnant women and lactating mothers. You need to also add the adolescent girls, like between the age of, who's adolescent? Sorry? Okay, we can say that 14 to 18, right? And what else? Do they also provide ration? They don't, right? You guys are sure about it. Anyways, this is important, that will come. If in case you will be getting some questions, so you need to have. You want to say that millets meal or something like that. Yeah, they provide. Basically, they help or they ensure that that is being provided somewhat. That is their job. Whether they are doing it in actual sense or not, that is can be debated. Now, operational scales, supporting over 8 crore children daily via Aanganwadi centers, Aanganwadi workers and Aanganwadi helpers. Based on that, the technological integration is being done because we are everywhere, we are talking about India's stack, digital India, everywhere we are utilizing that. So based on that, now these Aanganwadi centers are well equipped with the smartphones and monitoring devices for the portion tracking system. Now the question can be related to this. They can be given any ABCD app related to it, and you need to know this is portion tracking system which is being covered. One more thing you need to read about, that is portion 2.0 which was there. So that you need to read it. Exactly what are the things which have been covered, because now this has become an umbrella scheme kind of stuff where they have merged different schemes. This portion tracker app, it aims to aid Aanganwadi workers in delivering services efficiently and monitoring stunting, wasting and underweight matrix in children. So this is a very basic thing which you need to know. Compensation and benefits, the Aanganwadi workers, especially which are at Aanganwadi centers, they will get this 4,500 rupees per month. Need not to write, because anyways they are not going to ask the numbers. They may ask you that they are getting some sort of, exactly. So the Aanganwadi workers, अब जो workers आपके हैं, जो main उस पे नहीं है, mini centers पे हैं, they will be getting this 3,500 per month. Helpers will get 2,250 per month, is given by the central government. Now what is the role of state in such things? So what about this health system or child health system? It is concurrent list, right? So why only central government is helping into it? Sorry. Is there any role of state into it? Or are they also funding it? Certain states are doing it in the name of incentives. Performance linked incentive is also there with this scheme, that you need to know. What it is not required. They have a common application software which facilitates that data capturing thing, replaces the registers with the smartphones. That is a basic thing about digital. And now every institution, whichsoever it is, are having this sort of system. Additional state contributions and insurance under Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana and Aanganwadi Karyakatri Bima Yojana states are helping through this medium at the same time. Other benefits include paid leaves, promotion, reservation, uniforms, and awards for exemplary services. So these are the few key things which you just need to know, and majorly the pointers which are highlighted here are more important for you, or which are written in bold are important for you. Then the next is organ donation. Why this has come? Is it because of Laluji? Yes. You can see around, there were many reports, even the younger patients are having such issues, or they are dying because of all these situations where they are not getting the donors. There is a very long waiting list related to it, and certain key reports are there. Based on that, this news becomes important for you. And what are the major provisions that you need to know? Recent reports highlight that India faces a critical shortfall in organ donations with over 3 lakh patients, huge number on the waiting list. According to Health Ministry's own data, the number of donors, including deceased, only grew from 6,916 in 2014 to about 16,000 in 2022. If in case this topic comes in your paper, they can simply say that this has increased 4-fold or 10-fold or something like that, but it has merely doubled or less than that also at the same time. Then living donors represent 85% of all organ donors in India. So this is something important for you. Why? Because what we feel that organ donation is majorly with the deceased persons, largely. Like we have those proper pro forma that you want to sign that organ donation thing. But again, this is the 85% are the living persons. Again, insufficient because kidney, liver, heart and other things. We have just seen how many available. There is an annual demand for 2 lakh kidney transplants in India, but only about 10,000 are performed each year. And it is not just about the elderlies. Even a 6-month child can have this problem. So it doesn't look about the ages, it is across the ages at the same time. Now the National Organ and Tissue Transplantation Organization (NATO), under the Directorate General of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, oversees organ donation activities in India. They can change something here, or they may ask about NATO. So this you just need to know from this organ donation, nothing much about it, because this topic has some relevance from the perspective of human health and well-being, but at the same time this is a debatable issue. Then water, sanitation and hygiene, wash. So greenwashing तो आपके एग्जाम में पहले भी आ चुका है. They may ask something about wash. Somebody can get confused, but it is nothing but water, sanitation and hygiene. So what about this? Why it was in news? That we need to know. The WHO published a report titled Burden of Disease Attributable to Unsafe Drinking Water, Sanitation and Hygiene. दिल्ली में सबसे ज्यादा क्या होता है लोगों को? Diarrhea. There will be many patients related to diarrhea. Right? What else? What else? आप लोग कभी बीमार नहीं पड़े दिल्ली में रह के? मलेरिया भी हो सकता है, डेफिनेटली डेंगू हो सकता है. खैर एनीवेज घर पे जाके सोचना कि कौन कौन से डिजीज और आ सकते हैं यहाँ पे, बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स आर हैविंग दोज स्टमक इश्यूज. आई एम जस्ट फॉरगेटिंग द डिजीज नेम एट द मोमेंट. दैट इज ऑल्सो देयर. व्हाट इज अ वेरी कॉमन डिजीज अपार्ट फ्रॉम डायरिया which you get? Typhoid. Not typhoid. Again, I'm forgetting the name. What else? Cholera. Okay. What else? फूड पॉइजनिंग बहुत कॉमन नहीं है आप लोग के पास? डायरिया कह लो, फूड पॉइजनिंग कह लो, कुछ भी कह लो. और टाइफाइड कब कॉमन होती है? टाइफाइड क्यों होती है? राइट. और दिल्ली का पानी जो आप पी रहे हैं वो, भले वो आरओ का क्यों ना हो. Many people are getting different diseases because of the water being very much polluted, and the biggest reason is the drainage system in Delhi, which is very poor. Even the water pipelines which are coming from different levels, you can see people are questioning those water. E. coli bacteria and other things are being seen also through the microscopic and other facilities. But let's come back to the news. WASH stands for water, sanitation and hygiene, we have just discussed. Focusing on access to safe drinking water, improved sanitation facilities and maintaining basic hygiene levels. कौन सा SDG है ये? नीचे लिखा भी है SDG 6. What else? और कौन सा SDG हो सकता है? 12. What it is? Aligned with Sustainable Development Goals 6, which promotes the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. And what we are doing for it? Swachh Bharat mission. But are we successful about that? Right? आप कभी थोड़ा सा दिल्ली के आउटस्कर्ट्स में निकले, आपको सब दिख जाता है. Anyways, the WHO report highlighted that in 2019, safe wash services could have prevented 2.5% of global deaths and 2.9% of death adjusted life years. Need not to write, but you need to understand 2.5% of global death. अगर इसको 25% कर दे तो हो ही नहीं सकता. जैसे एयर पॉल्यूशन से बहुत सारे लोग दिल्ली में और ऑल ओवर इंडिया मरे थे, राइट? सो डू वी डाई बिकॉज ऑफ एयर पॉल्यूशन? The major reason behind that, what it does to you? It shortens the lifespan. Okay, how? If they give 4 options due to air pollution, what are the major diseases which people are getting, or the problems people are getting with heart disease? Right. What else? बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, आपको चेक करना पड़ेगा. द मेजर डिजीजेस फॉर योरसेल्फ, जस्ट फॉर योरसेल्फ. According to UNICEF, the number of people this has significantly reduced. We all know on paper we India में open defecation होता ही नहीं है, because everybody has a toilet which is being used as a storehouse in villages. So that is there. Yeah, that is being used. If you can see, most of the people are using like that only. So again, inadequate wash services in health facilities contribute to a high neonatal mortality, and which is around 24 deaths per 1,000 live births. So is it decreased or it is still on the same level? Open defecation free status. Now the question can be, basically open defecation free status में 3 अलग अलग सब parts हैं. The ODF is there, ODF plus is there, and the third one is urban and rural, both combinations are there related to ODF. So that we need to understand. September 2023, 75% of Indian villages have achieved ODF plus status under phase 2 of Swachh Bharat mission Gramin. So what is ODF plus? Any idea? Okay. Are you sure about it? No worries, अभी आप थोड़ी देर में श्योर हो जाएंगे अगर कुछ गलत या सही होगा तो. So ODF status is achieved when there are no visible feces, which you just said, in the environment of village, and every household and public community institution uses a safe technology option for the disposal. Disposal of what? The feces. अब मैं शायद प्रोनाउंशिएट सही से नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ, तो आप लोग कर लेना वो. सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट का भी रोल यहाँ पे आता है. It will come under that only in a way if we see. So for that, if both the things are there, then there will be ODF. Thereafter, the Directorate of Swachh Bharat Mission at the state level declares the village's city as ODF after necessary verification protocols. अब कहीं गलती से DM साहिबा सुबह सुबह चेक करने चले गए किसी गांव में या उसमें, so they will get the panchayat scene done. Some ग्राम प्रधान will be running behind the person and अगर किसी ने देखी हो तो, बाकी आप लोग तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ पढ़ाई में होंगे, शायद एस्पिरेंट देखी होगी. Then ODF plus status. A village attains ODF plus status by not only sustaining its ODF status, the above one, but also implementing either solid or liquid waste management systems. So that should also be there. So you just need to write ODF plus में the ODF plus this solid or liquid waste management system. Then post this ODF plus model villages. This is the third classification which comes. Here what they are doing is villages manages both. वहाँ पे either or वाली situation थी, either liquid or solid. यहाँ पे ये दोनों manage करेंगे, so they will be considered as model villages. That is only thing. So beyond maintaining the ODF status, an ODF plus model villages also manages both solid and liquid waste effectively. Simple. That is a model village. It demonstrates visual cleanliness with minimum litter and stagnant wastewater, no plastic dumps in public places, and displays ODF plus informational, educational and communicational messages to aware the people around. So now we have 2-3 things more for a model village. What they are? No plastic waste dumps in public places. And again, the information and the things that you need to know. Apart from those, liquid and solid waste management. So from all these topics, what you guys understood, from society perspective, what kind of question can be made? Anything can happen with UPSC. Report related questions, trends, some schemes that can be made in certain statements. It is not mandatory that they will ask a full question. They can give a certain statement from here, which can be a generalized. If you know it, you will be able to eliminate it or check the answers. Rest, be focused on your CSAT. The rank 139 got only 66.68 marks, and based on that qualified. He qualified both the IFS and Civil Services Prelims examination. The mark sheet comes now, na? The people who have given both the examination, today the mark sheets for them also came. The people who have filled for Civil Services Prelims and the forest examination also. So the person has got 66.68 marks, the cutoff basically of CSAT. थोड़ा सा भी ऊपर नीचे होता तो बेचारा इस बार की टॉपर लिस्ट में नहीं होता 139 का. Now the second part, education. Do you guys have any question from health and sanitation part which you want to ask? Vaccine specific questions, they will ask the basic part of it, which they have asked also. So for example, the DNA and RNA part they have asked related to vaccination part. Now mRNA vaccine has been in use, वो आपका science and tech में cover हो चुका है. Here there is possibilities very less that in the society part they will be asking the question. With Indradhanush we have done excellently well, to be very honest, with the reports and other things, because the larger chunk of population has been covered, especially with the aggressive immunization programs at different levels. They may ask the questions related to something like tuberculosis, not the mission Indradhanush. Because tuberculosis, the government is doing a lot of efforts, but there can be questions related to eliminating HIV by 2030 in children. So it is the fresh infection cases. जो already ongoing cases हैं उसमें तो आप कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते. They will be on the medication पर. Measles का भी that is in the part of immunization program if I'm not wrong. इंद्रधनुष में, मिशन इंद्रधनुष के part. It is different from the ban का इंद्रधनुष वाला program where ज्ञान समागम which was your UPSC prelims question once. So they have asked that also. And related to vaccination, that Seri-Vac option can come because that is very much important from the perspective of cervical cancer in women. Or shingles they can ask. You need to know about shingles also, which is generally it happens in the elderly population. You can talk about that also. So mostly the question will be from the biology perspective rather than the society perspective, which we have seen in the past also. And if they will be asking, the major things will be the number of vaccination being covered, which are 7 in number. You have seen the how much population has been covered with the vaccination part. And the recent news of Covishield may get you some question. Sorry? Not about the side effects, but the overall vaccine information. Have UPSC ever asked any direct question except 1 or 2 in 2020 and 2021? That what was that vaccination se related, the viral disease se related question tha. It was a very direct question. So the only point is you need to understand why we are discussing all this. We are not discussing the news. We are discussing the entire part of it so that you will be able to understand what exactly it is, what are the major things behind it, which can be asked during an examination. That is more important. Now, the second part of today's discussion is education. In education, we will be discussing these topics. You must have seen that 1 or 2 questions are coming. It is not that questions are not coming. For example, health, you can get a question. There, these, whatever we have read can help you in eliminating some statement or something. Similarly, with health, we have almost every year we have some question on that. Education पे भी questions हैं और सारे segments पे हैं question. So based on that, we'll be discussing it now. The first thing is One Nation, One Student ID initiative, APAR ID. The second is Right to Education. The third is All India Survey on Higher Education. That report, Anusandhan National Research Foundation Act 2023. National Credit Framework, Performance Grading Index, deemed to be university status. That can be an important topic for you. Why? Because recently the NCERT has also been given the status. And what are the major key things? Sorry, you said something. Then foreign higher educational institutions in India. Why this was in debate? What was the major reason behind it? FDI. Okay, what else? Have you heard few institutions have closed their campuses in India? India rankings 2023 for higher education institutions. If you see, there can be one question related to Niti Aayog's initiatives. Every year you are getting some question. So what you will do for that? Will you read all the initiatives taken by Niti Aayog? The answer is simply no. Whatever feels it is important for this particular year, you have to bet on that only. So based on that, we'll be discussing things. And again, there is a very common trend now that they might be asking in examination. Till now, whatever schemes we have read in health and sanitation, nothing was by Niti Aayog. So we have to also focus what are the major role of Niti Aayog or functioning of Niti Aayog, that at the same, just keeping in mind. Now let's move ahead with One Nation, One Student ID initiative, that is APAR ID. One thing is the APAR ID, what it is. There can be something, some statement can come, but this is a very basic thing that you will get a particular ID from the childhood to the whatever education you are taking. Why it is being done? The major point is that for the simplicity of for school living and other purposes, that can be utilized. The major perspective is that it is aligned with your new education policy 2020 that you should keep in mind. So several state governments requested schools to seek parental consent. Consent is important here. Again, it is voluntary, it is not mandatory. That is also there. For the creation of a new student identity card, that is automated permanent academic account registry APAR. We are also making that digital health repository. We have account aggregators and other options related to different purposes. APAR stands for Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry. Unique Prior Digit ID. ये 2-3 statements हैं जो आप अपने पास note down भी कर लो, because in case if the question will come, they can ask that. Student across India initiated from the childhood itself. It is a part of the National Education Policy 2020, and the registration for an APAR ID is voluntary, not mandatory, that you guys know. Benefits. What are the major benefits? It simplifies the educational processes, reducing dependency on physical documents, facilitates tracking of key educational metrics like literacy and dropout rates. One more thing will be very much beneficial if every student has this ID. The fake degree issue, the fake education issue can be combated to a larger extent with that. DigiLocker पे है, but again that DigiLocker is being utilized at different levels. But the school leaving certificates and other things that can be made easily to an extent. It is not just for the storage purpose or collection purpose. That can be better utilized for other purposes also. For example, अभी कोई अगर school change करता है या it is going to some other university, different certificates are required, then you also need to collect. Might be there can be plans related to that. All the certificates will be uploaded here only, that you can utilize for different purposes. So there can be different aspects to it. And the government, most of the time, they changes or they merge the things. For example, Bank Board Bureau is merged. Sorry, again उसकी जगह आपका FSI भी आ गया. Will they ask this question? Because Bank Board Bureau has been asked twice. Not once, twice they have asked related to the same. So digital certification of achievements and course completions are stored securely. DigiLocker is for more purposes also, if you can see that. Like your educational documents and other documents can be made available for different purposes. And this is particularly for school purposes. Yeah. Now, right to education. RTE. मदरसा बोर्ड बहुत ज़्यादा न्यूज़ में रहे हैं, मदरसास बहुत ज़्यादा न्यूज़ में रहे हैं. Recently, Supreme Court also has quashed the High Court decision, which was almost dismantling that madrasa boards. Stay लगा दिया Supreme Court ने basically. So that has given the relief to the madrasas in UP, because Uttar Pradesh government के इन पे वो था. So now we need to understand RTE का क्या aspect हो सकता है. Not just madrasas, but the minority institutions में क्या है. What is RTE, right to education में क्या एक major provision है? Okay, to all the children, right? In all the schools. Okay. And what about the private schools? They have to keep 25% EWS, right? But whether it applies to minority institutions, schools? Okay, schools, privately funded or if they are aided by government, right? Then it's a no. Let's see that. It is recently the Education Department has issued a gazette notification exempting private unaided schools, what he just said, from the mandatory 25% admission quota for those religious schools only. So what you need to keep in mind, that it is not mandatory for those unaided schools. Okay? That just you need to keep in mind. Furthermore, RTE Act 6 to 14 years eligible for free compulsory education in local schools with enrollment in the age appropriate class for those above 6 not in the school. So it will not start from 5, it will start from 6 only if they are still not going to schools. Aided schools must also offer education for free proportionate to their funding but not less than 25%. That is one thing. And elementary education is free until completion and no child can be held back, expelled or required to pass or board before finishing elementary education. And again there is you can say whether it's a kind of convention or it's a government policy that you cannot fail a child till class 8. Then furthermore for you guys, that minority schools exempted from following RTE quota admissions, and also there is a Supreme Court guideline here which you also need to keep in mind that in 2014 the Supreme Court ruled in the Pramati Educational and Cultural Trust versus Union of India and others that the RTE Act does not apply to minority schools. So that is there with the Supreme Court also, and there was amendment where they have exempted in 2012 itself. So that is also there. Now I am not going much into details because जो आपके लिए pointers important थे that I have just told you guys. All India Survey on Higher Education. Who does this survey? Who does this survey? Is it the government who does it? You guys can check and tell me who does it. पूछ तो सकते हैं ना आपसे ये. The assessor is done by Ministry of Education or some NGO or not for profit organization. Let others to check also. Sorry? Okay. Are you sure about it? What Pratham does then? Yes. So it is released by Ministry of Education, but the data collection and other things are done by the body which is assisting the government, is Pratham. Now what this survey is saying, 2021-2022 का survey started in 2011, keep it, for the comprehensive view of higher education in India, released by Ministry of Education, Government of India. And what are the major categories? Universities, colleges and standalone institutions, those autonomous institutions which come under this. Stakeholder participation, involvement of major stakeholders like UGC, AICTE, MCI and state governments for the first time in data collection, along with Pratham also. Pratham will be there. Now the point is कि you are seeing all the जो accreditation देती हैं universities को या technical institutions को या medical colleges को, all are part of it. So that you should keep in mind. 2021-2022 survey, it was the 11th survey, first conducted via web data capture format. So now there was no physical data thing because most of the institutions are well accompanied with it. Highlights: enrollment increases, total enrollment has increased, like reached to 4.33 crore. No need to mug up the data. Simply हम सबको पता है हमारी population इतनी है कि enrollment increase होना ही होना है. Plus majorly, that is a fact, but also the another fact is that people are more towards the studies. Everybody has a hope that if somebody will be gaining some higher education or something, it would gonna help. But at the same time, the report which has come related to unemployment, that 80% of educated youth of India is unemployed. So that was also there. Government institutions dominance is there. 73.7% of students enrolled in government universities. State public universities having the largest share out of like 31% almost. Do we have good number of private universities also? So are they able to fulfill the demand of India? Okay, right. But there are many colleges which are vacant. Female enrollment growth आपके लिए important हो सकता है because everywhere everybody is talking about the female empowerment or women empowerment aspect. So that has also increased from 2.07 crore in 2021-2022. A 32% increase is there. Now one more thing is there with you. जो आपका employment ratio में आया है, labor force participation rate, जो periodic labor force survey था, वहां पे how much it has increased? Are you sure? Female labor force participation rate in last 5 years, it has significantly increased. Yes. And who does this survey? Periodic labor force survey? Yes, NSO, under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. It has significantly increased from 24% to 37%, something like that, or 32%. Keep a check. This can be asked because आपके में अभी last year mains में तो आ ही गया था that unemployment question which has come forward. The last question in prelims based on unemployment has come in 2016 or 17. अगर हम एक direct question देखें तो 16 या 15 में आया था. But they can ask because unemployment पे related to different reports or the surveys which has come, they can ask. And again that is an issue related to it. Now the gross enrollment ratio is also there. It has increased. So we know every aspect has increased and Chandigarh has the highest gross enrollment ratio. Again, what I feel they can ask about this. So keep the data also of 28.4%. Why I am saying? Because sometimes they give the statement. They will not particularly ask about any other statement, but that statement can come about gross enrollment ratio. And what it is the number of students in higher education in a given population. Now, the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, NRF Act 2023, which has been passed. The government has enacted this act, and what is the purpose of this act that you need to know? Research ecosystem बढ़ाना. And what is so specific about it? Is it only for women? Both the genders are being involved, or all three genders are being involved? So the Act establishes the Anusandhan NRF to provide strategic direction for research, innovation and entrepreneurship in various fields, including natural sciences, technology, engineering, health, agriculture, humanities and social sciences are also included. They can give something like only technical aspects are being given. It aims to promote, monitor and provide support for research in these areas, and based on that there will be a governing board. And who will be the president of this governing board is the Prime Minister, ex officio president. And the Union Minister of Science and Technology and Education will be the ex officio vice president for it, and other ex officio members will be there. The president of the governing board may nominate additional members for various fields, from various fields, and that will be done, that is eventually being done. You have some question in your mind? You sure? Is something going differently? Administrative department. The Department of Science and Technology will be the administrative department for it. So it will be administered by DST, that is the most common thing. And funding will be done through grants, loans, donation and income from investments. So investment is also a part of it. They will be making an NRF fund which will be there for different purposes, like this NRF fund will be there, innovation fund, and what has happened? How we reached to 139? Just a minute. What was the page number we were? $37th, I guess. 38. So this was done Now, earlier we have some act that has been repealed and then the new act has been passed. So it is there but not much required. It is modeled on US NSF. ये याद रखना. You should keep in mind this is modeled on US National Science Foundation, aiming to enhance research and innovation in India. So the key points, got it? Now, National Credit Framework. There can be certain few things. Again, the new education policy has given certain credits, if you guys remember. There was some credit system starting from the school itself. Not at the higher level, but from the school itself. So based on that, the UGC has released the National Credit Framework report. And by what it is and what are the major key frameworks that we need to know. How it will be transferred, that you also need to know. By the National Education Policy 2020, a high-level committee was approved by the Center in 2021 to develop a national credit accumulation and transfer framework. Your credit score will be accumulated. That is the simple thing. For example, till class 10th you have accumulated some credits, then you are getting the transfer to some other school or something. So that will be further transferred and that can be utilized further on different aspects. It has been collaboratively developed by a high-level committee comprising members from various educational bodies. Earlier what was happening, why I have just stopped, that in the BTech or BSc or any other graduation course, you get certain credits in each semester. And based on that, you were being further what? Promoted or checked or whatever the point is. Now it will start from the very early part of your education. So the whole sole concept is to make it more effective, and with that the government is coming with new changes also. For example, the vocational training aspect will be there for the students of class 6. The NCRF has been collaboratively developed by a high-level committee comprising members from various educational bodies such as UGC, AICTE and Ministry of Education, Ministry of Skill Development on Entrepreneurship and CBSE. Now we have all different organizations with the ministry also, the various bodies which deal into the technical education in India. An inclusive meta framework aimed at seamlessly integrating the credit earned across school education, higher education, also the vocational training and skill education. This encompasses qualification framework for higher education, vocational and skill education and school education. I think that has been further repeated. So let's move ahead. What credit system will be there? There will be 8 levels. At different levels it will be like covering school education level 1 to 4, then higher education level 4.5 to 8, vocational education and training level 1 to 8. Credit earns are stored in the academic bank of credits. Class 5 will be taken as level 1, class 8 as level 2, class 10 as level 3, class 12 as level 4. So 1 to समझ में आ गया, ये लेवल का एस्पेक्ट है. आप थोड़े से परेशान लग रहे हो, क्या हो गया? आर यू श्योर? मैं बीच बीच में लोगों के फेसेस पढ़ के थोड़ा सा वो करता हूँ, या तो मैं ही कुछ गड़बड़ बता रहा हूँ, ऐसा भी हो सकता है. अंडर ग्रेजुएट कोर्सेज का अलग एस्पेक्ट है, एंड द पीएचडी अगर आप करेंगे तो आप लेवल 8. एनी पीएचडी अगर आप करते हैं, इन केस कोई भी पीएचडी, तो पोस्ट योर सर्विसेज हो सकता हो कुछ फर्दर एजुकेशनल एस्पेक्ट में आपको आगे जाना हो तो. एनीवेज, दीज वर द लेवल्स. आर दे इंपॉर्टेंट टू यू? किसी ने मन में कहा क्या पता यूपीएससी कुछ भी पूछ सकता है, बट ठीक है. देखो पॉइंट ये है यहाँ पे, व्हाट इज द पर्पज ऑफ दिस क्रेडिट्स? ट्रांसफरेबिलिटी, यस. व्हाट एल्स? ओके, व्हाट एल्स? एडमिशन से भी रिलेटेड कुछ हो सकता है, बट नेचुरल है, बेस्ड ऑन योर क्रेडिट्स. हो सकता हो सिर्फ आपका what percentage you are getting, that not be the only criteria. These credits can also help you out to get better opportunities, not just in India, abroad at the same time. What is the means? Credits can be obtained through academic education, vocational training, skill program and experimental. यहाँ पे M छूट गया है, learning from industries. Okay, might be experiential. Yes, correct. My bad. Integration of earned credit. Framework integrates credits earned across schools, colleges and vocational training. नहीं, जरूरत नहीं है इसकी आपको. Multiple entry and exit option which you just said, and concept of national learning hours. What it is? What does it mean? पढ़ो इसको. Exactly. 1200 total national learning hours in an academic session. So क्या मतलब हुआ इसका? Basically, there is a set criteria that if you are doing this much of course or whatever, this course or that course, so accumulated 12 hours, 1200 hours, 800 hours, 1000 hours of learning you have gained through that. That is the only thing. But again, not much important. The pointers in bold are important for you. That can be the only thing. Then the performance grading index, PGI. Ministry of Education has recently released 2 reports. The performance grading index 2.0 for states, UTs and PGI for districts. So it is not just states, they are also covering the districts, these reports. So you should keep these 2 points in mind, that the PGI index is giving 2 reports, one is states and then district specific report is also there. The report aims to evaluate the performance of the schools education system at both the state and district levels. Why this is being done? The simple answer is to get the comprehensive idea about the level of schools. For example, some district has, some state has 80 districts or 75 districts. The overall report is very good, but what about the district level? That's why we have that aspirational district program, or aspirational block programs are also there. They are based on the data from the Unified District Information System for Education Plus 2021 and 2022 and the National Achievement Survey NAS 2021. This statement can directly come like what they are based on. Furthermore, the grading system classifies states, UTs and districts into 10 grades, and 10 grades में अलग-अलग range है. The highest will get the Daksh and the lowest will get the Akanshi 3. Write one point that none of the state has got this Daksh category in India. Then PGI 2.0 for the year 21-22. Let's see what are the key details. The version of the index builds upon previous assessments and provides insights into the progress made by different regions. And the major highlights include none of the states achieved the Daksh. Again, the topmost grade attained was Prachesta 2, achieved by Punjab and Chandigarh. The schools basically in Punjab are quite good. The first thing is the infrastructure they are having, and also the Chandigarh and the Punjab Mohali region is there. So you can see there are many regions, not just Mohali, which is there. There has been a reduction in deviation with the disparity between the maximum and minimum scores decreasing from 51% in 2017 to 23.8%. The maximum minimum is decreasing. Now deemed to be university status. What is the full form of NCERT? सबको याद ही है, सही है. इतनी एनसीईआरटी पढ़ी आप लोगों ने? अब तो ये लगता होगा कि पूरा जीवन ही एनसीईआरटी में निकल गया. खैर, it's good to read NCERTs. The Ministry of Education has released the UGC Institutions Deemed to be Universities Regulation 2023. It's not just about NCERT. Many institutions have got this deemed to be university status in recent years. Ashoka University and some more universities are there. So because of that, it becomes important for you. what exactly the regulations are and what are the changes that are being done. The NCERT has been granted the status of deemed to be university. Under the UGC Act 1956, the central government has the authority to declare certain institutions other than universities as institutions deemed to be university. And how this deemed to be university status benefits? They get some autonomy related to the courses, research projects, and other aspects that helps them. So institutions granted this status are deemed to be universities, allowing them to offer their own graduate, postgraduate, and doctoral degrees and enjoy autonomy in various aspects. What are those aspects? Like program introduction, course structure, and examination management part. But is it benefiting deemed to be university status? How? Autonomy, okay. Grants, are they getting good grants as a deemed to be university? There are certain deemed to be universities in a larger sense which are failing in placements, which has been given the status of deemed to be university. What would be the major reason behind it? छोड़ दो, वापस आ जाते हैं, थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा डिस्कशन elaborated हो जाएगा. Let's stick to things. The new regulations allow institutions less than 20 years to apply. पहले ये 20 साल से ज़्यादा जो institutions existence में थे वो apply कर सकते थे केवल deemed to be university status के लिए. That is one thing. So बस simple statement का फर्क हो सकता है. The institutions which are more than 20 years or something like that. Whereas the previous regulations, ठीक है, yeah, I have just told you, clusters of institutions managed by multiple sponsoring bodies can now apply this deemed to be university status. That means cluster of institutions. For example, जैसे DPS है स्कूल के लेवल पे, वैसे there can be some institution which is in different study levels, or there can be a single institution which is dealing in management, which is dealing in engineering, and which is dealing in some other segment. So that will also become a cluster of institutions. So they can also apply there. Then these institutions are mandated to create an academic bank of credit for their students and upload their credit score in DigiLockers or digital lockers. Why we are going statement by statement? The only rationale behind it is that you should be having that thing in your mind that we have discussed it, and that can help you out. Then the eligibility criteria for deemed to be university status, one of the following, not all, one of the following aspect. One is NAC A graded, at least 3.01 CGPA for 3 consecutive cycles. Two things, remember, NAC A graded and 3 consecutive cycles. The secondary thing is NBA accreditation for 2/3 of eligible programs for 3 consecutive years. And again the ranking should be in top 50 of NIRF. NIRF की ranking कौन करता है? Is it Ministry of Education or नीति आयोग? Additionally, the institution should have obtained the approval of the relevant statutory body for all professional courses. We all know accreditation जिन bodies से मिलता है, that AICTE, that Bar Council of India for Law, and Pharmacy Council of India for pharmacy courses, and Council of Architecture for this. Foreign higher educational institutions in India, the foreign university campuses. Next, recently the UGC setting up an operation of campuses of foreign higher educational institutions in India, Regulation 2023 was released. Approval must obtain approval from UGC before establishing the campuses. There was some statement like they can plan it, they can get the courses post establishment also. So that is not there. They have to do it. Again, this is not for just starting, this is also for discontinuing. They have to take the approval. Why this has in news? This has been in news? True. leaving the students behind without any. So they are also prohibited from offering courses that do not meet the standards of higher education in India. Again, eligibility top 500 global ranking में होनी चाहिए. Based on that, they are eligible to open their campuses in India. Post this, quality and mode of education that will be based on their university campuses in their home jurisdiction. मतलब जो वहाँ का यूनिवर्सिटी का अपना कैंपस है based on their jurisdiction की उसके अकॉर्डिंग ही वो यहाँ पे अपने कोर्स का एस्पेक्ट करेंगे. They are not permitted to offer programs online or in open and distance learning modes. That will be there. So the offline campuses will be there only. Autonomy का aspect जब आएगा, so they will be given the autonomy to decide admission processes, criteria, recruit faculty and staff. अच्छा जो डिग्री मिलेगी campuses की, so UGC is allowing it. तो इंडिया का अप्रूवल तो रहेगा ही उस पर, or they have to pass some test also. What about the doctors who were doing their MBBS from Ukraine or China? Yes. The prior permission from the central government is required for receiving donations from foreign sources. They are subject to quality assurance and audits and must submit the reports to UGC. They can change, they can must submit the reports to your central government or Ministry of Education. They are required to submit annual audit reports certifying compliance with relevant laws such as FEMA and FERA. So FEMA is for, sorry, FEMA. Okay, and what is FERA is what about? Yes, FCRA. Then Indian rankings 2023. India's ranking 2023 for higher educational institutions. 8th edition of the ranking released by your Ministry of Education. Ranking NIRF utilize करते हैं, which evaluates the institution based on these parameters: teaching, learning resources, research and professional practice, graduation outcomes, outreach and inclusivity, and perception. Do we have placements? Is placement that important? Otherwise, Kurzi क्यों कह रहे हो भाई? It was a PJ. Key updates in 2023. They have added agriculture and allied activities. ये एक चीज important है यहाँ पे आपके लिए बस majorly. And merge the innovation index and अटल ranking का जो था institutions achievements पे उनको merge करके they have merged it into this only. And also they have expanded the architecture category to include planning. But एक ही चीज याद रखना है आपको, that is this, that agriculture and allied sector is also there. Now IIT Madras overall category में और ISC उसके बाद followed है, not much required. Children, अभी आज या कल में एक वर्डिक्ट आई है सुप्रीम कोर्ट की अबॉर्शन को लेकर के. Like the lady was pregnant 27 weeks, but उसके अबॉर्शन के लिए उन्होंने टर्मिनेशन के लिए मना कर दिया. पेरेंट्स ने रिक्वेस्ट किया था. आई थिंक शी वाज सम, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, शी वाज सम सर्वाइवर एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट शी वांटेड टू अबॉर्ट, बट अगेन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज डिनाइड. व्हाई? व्हाट दे सेड? देयर इज नो abnormality and the fetus has the fundamental right to live. That Supreme Court has denied just yesterday or today's news it is. So, we can say that 24 weeks, but again that has one more line there. If there is some abnormality or something like that, there is some mother की life को अगर कोई danger है या कुछ है, so with that you can do that. And again, if there is some abnormality, for example, some fetus is not being properly developed or some other problems are happening which can be 24. Twenty-four weeks ही है, as far as I know, 24 weeks ही है. They have, it was the 27th week for them, so they were trying to do it, but they have denied it. And said the quote thing is, which we have left, that it has the fundamental right to live. So you are, उसको क्या बोलते हैं, आप उसके fundamental rights को छीन रही हैं. Everybody has the right to live. वापस आ जाते हैं चिल्ड्रन पे, बच्चों पे, छोटे प्यारे बच्चों पे. Age of Consent, Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2015, Child Trafficking in India, Child Labor and Child Adoption. आपके पॉलिटी पर्सपेक्टिव से भी क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, आपके रिलेटेड टू द चाइल्ड ट्रैफिकिंग और अदर एस्पेक्ट में भी क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं और आए भी हैं एक आध बार. सो बेस्ड ऑन दैट दीज थिंग्स बिकम इम्पोर्टेंट. अगेन द टॉपिक्स लाइक सरोगेसी इन इंडिया, IVF and other options are there, but how adoption can become a major important thing into it, that we need to also understand from the perspective of your exam only. So let's see that age of consent. 22nd Law Commission in its 283rd report advised against reducing the age of consent from 18 to 16 years. So that means there was something in law which was about to change. The recommendation has been made for that earlier. Now the act of consent definition, what it is. This can come because they might ask certain statement from here. The legal age for consenting to sexual activity aimed at protecting adolescents from sexual abuse and its consequences on their rights and development. POCSO is there to protect them. Act 2012 में आया, defines a child as a under 18, setting the age of consent at 18 by default. So from where we are getting it? From the POCSO Act. The POCSO Act protects children from sexual offences and establishes the special court for their trial. So both the things are there. They are protecting and at the same time for giving them the justice, they have a part to it. Again, different states are also having their own special establishments for it. Section 375 of IPC amended by the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013 raised the age of consent for sexual intercourse to 18. Bharati Nyaya Sanhita 2023 has also raised the age of consent for a married woman to 18 under the definition of rape, that is section 63. You need to cross check it. So is it legal? बाल विवाह तो है ही नहीं ना हमारे समाज में, अगर ऑन पेपर चले तो. Don't worry about it. We all know the harsh reality of our lovely world, but at the same time, on reports, nobody is reporting it. Which state is having highest number of cases in Bal Vivaah? Rajasthan. Are you sure? Or is it Odisha? आप इस पे बहुत श्योर हैं, राइट? ठीक है. Don't need to Google it at the moment. You just need to know that how like we can have something like a married woman up upon the age of 18. What is the actual age nowadays as per the law? Is it increased now? It was proposed but not increased. So by that way it is correct, up to the age 18. And what are the major provisions under POCSO Act? Okay. And what are the things which are included in POCSO Act? Like child pornography. What else? The sexual harassment, sexual assault, everything, right? So everything is being included. And the offences are being covered at different level of punishment. Heinous, serious, based on that. And what about the highest? 20 years of imprisonment or natural life imprisonment aspect can be there. So, but what you need to know is, like we have seen some recent POXO case. POXO case, the WFI chief, ex-WFI chief, कुलभूषण यादव was बेचारा तो पड़ा हुआ पाकिस्तान में. Yes, Brijbhushan Singh. Recently, the High Court has given some statement on him that shows an alleged involvement. But again, the point is, POXO Act is important for you because there were recent cases also, and this was a big case, so you need to know what are the major key things from POXO Act, which I have just told you about the heinous crimes or severe crimes related to it. Have Bharati Nyaya Sanhita, Dand Sanhita have been enacted in India? Implemented, I mean to say implemented. Like. Sorry? Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. They will be enforced basically by 1st of July. She is correct. अभी उसी के लिए तो बेचारे ट्रांसपोर्टर्स ने बवाल करा था. वो क्या था रीजन? 10 years of imprisonment. That was the main reason behind it. And what about the proportion of accidents which are happening because of them? और हिट एंड रन के केस वाले केसेस कितने हैं of the truck drivers? They are at the higher side or the four-wheeler cases are at the higher side? तो क्या गवर्नमेंट ने मान लिया, उसको कम कर दिया? गवर्नमेंट ने अभी एक कमेटी बनाई है, so they will think about it. But that provision can come in different way for you because that was so much in news. See, motor vehicle accident में चीजें include होंगी, but the time when hit and run aspect will come, yes, that is the point. So, Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2015. Why it was in news? The National Commission for Protection of Child Rights issued guidelines for the assessment of child suspects in the heinous offences category of Juvenile Justice Act 2015. So, what it is for? Care and protection. Keep it in mind. Key features: district magistrate including additional DM are empowered to issue the adoption certificates or orders. Appeals against adoption order by DM can be filed before the divisional commissioner within 30 days if there is any appeal against it. And what adoption simply means? That simply means कि the biological parents, there can be two things. The biological parents are ready to offer, or another thing is there is no information about them at the same time. And once this order is being given or this adoption is being given, there will be no right of those biological parents. Sorry? For this purpose, the district magistrates and the authorities are competent for the purpose. As far as my information says, TARA can be there for better facilitating this particular process of adoption. Because there are many childs, for example, Kailash Satyarthi ki foundation is also doing some work on the same thing. So that can be there. And can you again give the full form of TARA? So, see, they must be promoting and assisting in that adoption and rehabilitation of those kids which are being left behind. The primary agency related to it. But do we have it in every district? Sorry? Okay. What it does? They are being registered with them, is it? They happen via it. Okay, fair enough. But are they available in every district or blocks like that? The point is, I think no. With these agencies only they are working. They are functional. So all offences tried in children's court, different offences are there, like heinous offences. The minimum punishment will be there 7 years or more. Serious offence के लिए 3 to 7 years, and then your petty offences के लिए maximum punishment is up to 3 years. Again इसमें चाइल्ड ट्रैफिकिंग इन इंडिया का कॉन्टेक्स्ट फिर आगे आएगा. कारा का जो एस्पेक्ट है वाया इट कैन बी एजेंसी, बट अगेन द पॉइंट इज बाल सुधागृह अनाथ आश्रम वगैरह के जो न्यूज़ेस हैं फ्रॉम वेयर द अडॉप्शन कैन हैपन और द बेनिफिट ऑफ द किड्स कैन बी डन, वो भी आपके लिए एक एस्पेक्ट हो सकता है. ओके, in yes, inter and intra country, right? Or both na? ठीक है, fair enough. Juvenile Justice Act, right?
But it was set up in 1990. It was set up in 1990, but now it comes under the
Juvenile Justice Act, purview of Juvenile Justice. Thank you for enlightening me and the entire class. So, Kara, you guys got the things? Now, child trafficking in India. Child trafficking in India, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime approved a 10-point call. इसको थोड़ा सा underline कर लेना, 10-point call को. To action for the implementation of comprehensive measure to prevent child trafficking. And which body is doing it? United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. ठीक है? Because there have been many instances related to child trafficking at the same time the drugs aspect in India, and the responsible government ministers or other people have given the statements on it that we are curbing it at different level, so that can be important. Laws governing in India, now you just need to know there are different laws under which we do. For example, this Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956 prohibits immoral trafficking and sex work. Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976, 17 के या 18 के prelims में there was question related to the child labor, if I am not wrong. So abolished bonded labor system to prevent economic and physical exploitation of weaker section. So up to what age a child cannot be taken into the labor option, मतलब work? 14 तक कर सकते हैं क्या? हाँ, 14 से नीचे भी कर सकते हैं, मतलब 6 से 14 के बीच वालों को भी कर सकते हैं, फैमिली वर्क में कर सकते हैं, राइट. एंड 14 to 16 वाले को आप किसी भी नॉन एक्सप्लोजिव एस्पेक्ट में कर सकते हो जहाँ पे उसको कोई खतरा ना हो एक तरीके से. एंड पोस्ट 16 यू कैन डू देम, टेक देम इनटू दैट आल्सो. Protection of children from sexual offences, that we have just done. Now child labor, the next topic. Parliamentary Standing Committee on Labour, Textile and Skill Development highlighted much work is needed to eliminate child labor. We can see everywhere it is very much prevalent in India, even from the biggest stores to smaller stores, all outside whatever is happening. So the family labor will come under this category or not? After school you can. The full day activity should not be there. So initiatives, we have ratified like ILO Convention on 182 and Convention 138 related to child labor. बस दो चीजें, 138, 182 जो convention है, आगे dash child labor, nothing more than that. So ratification of international conventions aimed at combating child labor and setting minimum age standards for employment. The Child Protection, Labor and Regulation Amendment Act 2016 prohibits employment of children below 14 years and adolescents 14 to 18 years in scheduled hazardous occupation and processes, which you guys just said. National Child Labor Project Scheme, again the rehabilitation special schools by the Ministry of Labor and Employment will be done for the child laborers, rehabilitation के purpose से. Pencil portal, that can be an important thing for you guys. Platform for effective enforcement for no child labor, that is pencil portal. अब हम यहाँ पे pencil portal से ये भी हो सकते हैं education को लेकर के. So with that you should keep this in mind. A tool managed by the Ministry of Labor and Employment, vital in rescuing and rehabilitating victim of child labor. Bachpan Bachao Andolan, Save the Childhood Movement, NGO which is dedicated to liberating children from exploitation through education and rehabilitation, and they have rehabilitated more than 85,000 children in India only. If you see the biggest problem, it is not just the child labor, with the trafficking related to the kids or child. There are so many instances which we have seen in news. Child adoption. Now you have also seen one more thing. You must be seeing that there has been a significant increase of small kids which are coming all around whenever you are going to eat or whenever you are standing somewhere. Don't you think it has increased in last 2 or 3 years like anything? It wasn't like that earlier. So what can be the reason behind it? Very true. Are they Rohingyas? Could be, but there can be some accent difference or something like that. But they are very much like, yes, it has increased a lot. So are they staying with their parents? Or they have been a victim of human trafficking or child trafficking? It could be a possibility. Child adoption. Supreme Court ने collaborative effort to increase the number of children available for adoption. जो कारा की आप बात कर रहे थे, शायद वो यहाँ पे हम डिस्कस भी कर लेंगे, वो हमारे लिए यहाँ ज़्यादा हेल्पफुल होगा आई गेस. Adoption is the process by which a child is permanently separated from their biological parents and becomes the lawful child of their adoptive parents with all associated rights and responsibilities. The legislation governing adoptions are Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, 1956 में. It governs the adoption and maintenance among Hindus, including various religious denominations. Juvenile Justice Act 2015 and Adoption Regulations 2022 has said the government inter and intra-country adoption of orphaned, abandoned or surrendered children and children of relatives. ये कुछ pointers हैं which you should keep in mind, because they are not just talking about those abandoned and orphaned. They are also talking about the surrendered or also the children of relatives. There can be, for example, you have some relative, what I think and what can be there, and somewhat they are not able to take care or they have left them somewhere, or on your behalf that you will be able to, not just expired, that they will come under the orphan category, right? And this can also be taken like that, that the relative is willing to adopt if they are orphaned. Both the ways it can work. I am unable to take care of the child, that is surrendered children. Then your CARA has come. The Central Adoption Resource Authority, it is a statutory body. So guys, please write it also at a point, because Supreme Court has talked about it, and also there was a regulation in 2022 that makes it important. Statutory body overseeing inter and intra-country adoptions under the Juvenile Justice Act. Then there will be a District Child Welfare Committee, and that constituted by states for each district and responsible for identifying children in need for care and protection and declaring them legally free for adoption. So basically the statutory body will be there, then there will be SARA at the same level, and then there will be District Welfare Committee. So on their behalf they will be doing the work. And then the District Child Protection Unit will be there, which will identify orphaned, abandoned and surrendered children in the district and places them in child care institutions. A specialized adoption agency will be there, a recognized body responsible for placing children in adoption, and then authorized foreign adoption agency will also be there. For this, recognized foreign agency coordinating the adoption of the Indian children by citizens of their country. That means some other country. Now again, there can be pointers like the adoptions in India from some foreign people are being done for other purposes also. So to ensure, we'll be having this agency somewhat, which will be checking and doing all the aspects. Now the most important part for you, women. Why most important? Because it has been in the center of the things for the entire year. If you will see, whether it's women reservation, whether giving women more rights or other things, it has been the central part of the discussion. So domestic violence against women, sexual harassment at workplace, abortion laws, surrogacy in India, women in STEM, and Suya Maria Thai, that is self-respect marriages. ये क्या होता है? What is self-respect marriages? Read about it. चेक करें आप सभी अपने अपने स्मार्टफोन पे. स्मार्टफोन को हिंदी में क्या कहते हैं? पंजाबी में क्या कहते हैं? अपने अपने स्वचालित यंत्रों में चेक करें, कुछ मिल जाएगा शायद सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट मैरिजेस के बारे में, या दैट तमिल वर्ड. प्रैक्टिस सीसैट अलॉट, जितना आप लोग कर सकते हैं, बट ऐसा मत करना कि सिर्फ सीसैट ही लगा रहे हो. बट यस, टू ए लार्जर एक्सटेंट डू इट वेल. एग्जैक्टली. Self respect marriages, exactly. So they don't need any priest or any other. बस हो गया, that is the marriage. इसलिए यहाँ पे the thing is there, we'll discuss that also. शायद what I know, शायद Supreme Court has banned this somewhat, and also the Sapindi marriage was there in your news. The marriage institutions. What is Sapind? Yes, Sapindi marriages. See, you guys are doing enough efforts, so that is the simplest thing is with you guys is keep that faith with yourself for next 30 to 35 days. बस एग्जाम अच्छे से देना है. क्या अभी दिमाग में आ रहा है क्या नहीं आ रहा है, उस पर फोकस ज्यादा नहीं करना है. द ओनली रीजन बिहाइंड इट इज कि इट मे डिमोटिवेट यू टू एन एक्सटेंट. जी, कजन्स मैरिज आप कह सकते हैं, या फॉर एग्जांपल क्लैन, हम अगर क्लैन बोले या बोले, साप इंडी का मतलब यही हो गया बेसिकली. मान लीजिए आपकी 3 और 4 जनरेशंस के बाद या 2 जनरेशंस के बाद आपने सेम उसमें शादी कर ली. फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल फॉर इट. फॉर एग्जांपल देयर इज सम ब्राह्मण, ठीक है, हाँ करेक्ट, सॉरी, अब इंसेस्ट होगा या क्या होगा ये तो आप लोग ज्यादा जानेंगे, बट अभी सपिंडी विवाह उसको बोल सकते हैं. डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस अगेंस्ट वुमेन, इस पे सवाल आ सकता है, आप बताओ, सोचो. नॉट रिड्यूस्ड, इंक्रीज, और भी कुछ आ सकता है. व्हाट आर द थिंग्स विच आर इंक्लूडेड इन डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एज पर यू गाइस? Mental and physical both. And what are the things which will be covered in mental? The WHO approximately 1 out of every 3 women globally encounters physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. Status of domestic violence against women in India. Is it about only once the marriage happen? मैरिटल रेप के एस्पेक्ट में हो सकता है और भी चीजें आएंगी इसके अंदर. 32% of ever married women have reported experiencing physical, sexual or emotional violence by their husbands at some point of time in their lives. So according to the National Family Health Survey 5, 29.3% of married women in India between the ages of 18 to 49 have experienced domestic or sexual violence. And 3.1% of pregnant women aged 18 to 49 have suffered physical violence during child pregnancy. Many cases go unreported. 87% of the victims don't register the case because in India this happens like a, ये तो एक part of process of life हो गया लोगों का. मतलब most of the people have seen it in their lives, in their families, or in front of you guys, somewhere outside you can see that. The point related to it comes here. थोड़ा सा पढ़ो आप लोग. What are the major frameworks related to it and what can be the change related to it? One thing is the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, comprehensive measure to protect women from physical, emotional, sexual and economic abuse. हमने क्या मिस किया था वहां पे? Economic abuse. It includes provisions for protection orders, residence orders and monetary relief. Indian Penal Code में भी था, criminalizes cruelty by husband or his relatives towards a woman. Section 85 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 makes a provision related to domestic violence against women. Indian Evidence Act also includes it. So the question can be based on the different aspects where, for example, last time you have seen there were 3 statements. One was on, I guess, CPC, and one was on Evidence Act or something like that was there. So based on that, you may get a question. Evidence Act talks about admissibility of the evidences and crucial for domestic violence cases. And Dowry Prohibition Act 1931 makes you all know कि देना और लेना दोनों dowry में is a criminal offence. Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, Section 354A includes offences related to sexual harassment, enhancing protection in domestic settings. Then juvenile justice में भी है domestic violence के aspect को लेकर के National Commission for Women Act 1990, that is the NCW to safeguard. हम इतना कुछ क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं? एक रीजन बता दो. Is there any particular reason behind reading it? स्टेटमेंट में आएगा अगर तो. अच्छा, जो अभी एक रिसेंट इशू हुआ था मणिपुर का या संदेश खाली का, उसके लिए हमारे पास क्या प्रोविजंस है? What provisions we are having for those two highest offenses if we say? 375 which we have just read and 376 should also be there. And what it is? Then we have no laws for this, the same sex relationship or marriages. Do we have any law? The only law was there which has been decriminalized. 377, I guess. Then domestic violence against women. What next? Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, a global framework for action to eliminate discrimination against women. UN Declaration on the Elimination of Violence Against Women, DEVO, provides a framework for the actions at the. Do we refer any of these, or we have our separate laws or provisions? Which one? Then there is a Beijing platform for action, safe cities and safe public spaces. दैट इज ह्यूमन वुमेन्स वो है, बस ये याद रखना कि ये इनिशिएटिव किसका है, दैट्स ऑल. Sexual harassment at workplace, POSH. We all know about the act. What are the major things? Prevention, prohibition, and redressal related to it. There will be one ICC, internal committee will be there. In case that internal committee is not doing properly things, so they can go to the local authorities. Vishaka guidelines is related to this, that we all know. And POSH Act. Provisions includes unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature. Definition of workplace: place visited by the employee during the course of the employment and the transportation provided by the company, that will also be a part of. It's not just the workplace. The two things you need to know. Post this, aggrieved women covers all women irrespective of the age or employment status and includes clients, customers and domestic workers at the same time. These are the steps being given. For example, you have to make a policy related to the sexual harassment, and based on that there will be a kind of rule book. The ICC, that is the internal committee, will follow that, and based on that they will do the further things. And again, the awareness posters and notices. For example, there is 1 week program or a day program related to this. Sorry. Then complaints committee, internal complaints committee, ICC, mandatory for every, like जिनके पास 10+ employees होंगे उनको वो बनाना है IC, and then there will be a local committee जो district officers के setup के उस पे होगी. Then complaint filing procedures within 3 months of the incident आप कर सकते हो. And again, उनके पास आने के बाद अगेन शायद विद इन 90 days they have to do all the investigations and give a proper report. Inquiry within 10 days of completion of the report they have to give it to the employer. और अगर employer के against में होगा then it will not go to the internal committee, they will go to the local committee or local authority. Appeal, अगर false complaint है तो भी action लेना है, and they will be having certain like civil court की तरह, but penalization होगा, कोई ऐसा particular legal वो नहीं होगा जैसा कि criminal offenses में we get the punishment and other things. और we all know कि secrecy has to be maintained. Abortion law, ये फ्रांस में एक वो किया गया है जिसके रिगार्डिंग है ये न्यूज. The French lawmakers have approved a bill to enshrine abortion rights in France Constitution, making it the first country to explicitly guarantee a woman's right to terminate the pregnancy. A specific period, I don't think so. उन्होंने अभी दिया है. They can terminate. They have made it. पहले रहा होगा definitely. Every country must be having, and even अभी भी होगा to a larger extent. They must have given certain I would say 12 weeks, थोड़ा ज़्यादा होना चाहिए I guess. जी 20 weeks के बाद. Okay. हाँ, people can do that. Gender discrimination है, चीजें हैं, right? But still people are able to do it. People are able to do it. That's a fact. Government has to make it more stringent that such things should not happen. Otherwise, what most of the hospitals are still doing it at different level. Some are getting the monetary benefits, some are getting other benefits. Thank you. हमें जो मेजर याद रखना है, ये फ्रांस की न्यूज़ थी, बट इंडिया में हमारे लिए क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है हमें वो याद रखना. सो दैट इज द मेडिकल टर्मिनेशन ऑफ प्रेगनेंसी एक्ट 1971, शांतिलाल शाह कमेटी. इट हैज लीगलाइज. उसके पहले लीगलाइज नहीं था इंडिया में. Before 1971, it was not legalized. Keep it this mind. Then it legalized the safe abortion, aiming to safeguard women's health and reduce maternal mortality. MTP Amendment Act 2021 expanded abortion access up to 24 weeks for certain categories such as rape survivors with approval from 2 doctors up to 24 weeks. Also established state level medical boards to handle cases for fetal abnormalities beyond 24 weeks. So एक चीज तो यहाँ पे और कंफर्म हो गई कि अगर फीटल में कोई एबनॉर्मेलिटी है तभी ये बियॉन्ड 24 वीक्स जाएगा, अदरवाइज इट विल बी अप टू 24 वीक्स. Now surrogacy in India. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has announced the Surrogacy Regulation Amendment Act 2024. पहले इन्होंने रेस्ट्रिक्ट किया था, अब इन्होंने उसको चेंज किया. Initially restricted surrogacy only to intending couples, own gametes, reproductive cells. Allow surrogacy with donor gametes. बस ये याद रखना, allow surrogacy with donor gametes. The requirement stopped couples with specific health issues for pursuing biological parenthood through surrogacy, and divorced or widowed women must use their eggs with donor sperms. बहुत ज्यादा इसमें नहीं जाना है हमें डीप, हमें बस ये याद रखना कि रेस्ट्रिक्ट जो पहले किया था उसमें क्या चेंजेस किए हैं. देन डेफिनेशन वी ऑल नो अबाउट सरोगेसी, यू मस्ट हैव रेड इन योर बायोटेक क्लास और अदर क्लासेस. ट्रेडिशनल सरोगेसी क्या है, गेस्टेशनल सरोगेसी क्या है, एल्ट्रुइस्टिक सरोगेसी क्या है, कॉमर्शियल सरोगेसी क्या है. की थिंग अबाउट इट, ये इंडिया में केवल परमिसिबल है और ये बैंड है. दैट यू जस्ट कीप इन माइंड. कॉमर्शियल एंगल कहीं भी आएगा अगर इंडिया में तो दैट इज बैंड. देन सरोगेट मदर्स और ये सारी क्लासिफिकेशंस, आई डोंट फील दिस इज मच इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू फ्रॉम द एग्जामिनेशन पर्सपेक्टिव. एट द सेम टाइम ये जो रेगुलेशन एक्ट आया था ना 2021 में, दे हैव अलाउड ओनली altruistic surrogacy. And what are the eligibility? It is not your medical board examination कि they will be asking भाई क्या क्या चीजें हैं. नहीं, they will not be asking, that is for sure. कि फिर भी पढ़ लो भाई, क्या पता आ ही गया तो. Married for 5 years with the age restrictions for both spouses. No parents with living children are allowed except under specific conditions. सरोगेट मदर क्राइटेरिया क्या है, क्लोज रिलेटिव होनी चाहिए. ये तो वी ऑल नो, दिस हैज बीन सो मच इन न्यूज आल्सो बिकॉज ऑफ दिस. बी मैरिड विद अ चाइल्ड ऑफ हर ओन एज लाइक 25 to 35 years and can be a surrogate only once. And parental rights are also there. वो आप पीपीटी में पढ़ लेना. रेस्ट वुमेन इन स्टेम. Recently the Prime Minister launched the Boeing Sukanya program. बोइंग सुकन्या प्रोग्राम, इससे अच्छा इंडिगो सुकन्या प्रोग्राम कर देते. विच विल सपोर्ट वुमेन इन गेटिंग इनटू द एविएशन सेक्टर. तो यहां सिर्फ एक चीज जाननी है कि दे वांट द इन्वॉल्वमेंट ऑफ वुमेन टू गो इनटू द रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट एंड गेट द वर्क इनटू एविएशन सेक्टर. दैट्स इट अबाउट इट. द बोइंग सुकन्या प्रोग्राम will provide opportunities for women to learn skills in science, tech, engineering and mathematics fields and train for jobs in the aviation sector. That's it. Now initiatives, there are different initiatives for women in STEM like iSTEM, Indian Science, Technology and Engineering MAP. The platform by the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor providing research infrastructure and lab accessible across India. That is iSTEM. So you can write as accessibility of labs all across India, something like that. Then women in engineering, science and technology, West iSTEM initiative का ही है to take women into the science and technology and innovation system. विज्ञान ज्योति level playing field है meritorious high school girls के लिए so that they can further pursue the STEM, that is science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Knowledge involvement research advancement through nurturing scheme by DST, encouraging women scientists in the साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी. ये थोड़े से जो नाम और वो हैं, मतलब वो आप याद रखना. जैसे किरण इज फॉर like taking women into science and technology, like women scientists into science and technology, like that. Then gender advancement for transforming institutes, this is also important. गति शक्ति से कहीं collaborate ना कर ले आप लोग. So aims for institutional reforms facilitating women in STEM and medicine disciplines at all levels. Consolidation of university research for innovation and excellence, QB, supports women universities in improving their R&D facilities. Do we have any women university? Independent Women University. Okay. What else? Biotechnology career advancement and reorientation program. This biocare, please write it for yourself. डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डीबीटी का है कैरियर डेवलपमेंट वुमेन साइंटिस्ट का बायोटेक्नोलॉजी की फील्ड में. दैट्स ऑल अबाउट इट. बिकॉज वी कैन थिंक अबाउट बायोकेयर से कुछ और एस्पेक्ट वी कैन टेक इट. देन Swayam Arithai, self-respect marriages. Recently, the Supreme Court gave a ruling on self-respect marriages and upheld their validity, not banned. So they have upheld the validity. Under the Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Supreme Court थोड़ा सा प्रोग्रेसिव सोच वाले लोग हैं. There can be different opinion about them. For say, rituals. So the people who will be marrying in the Hindu marriage aspect, for example, we are following some Hindu marriage aspect, or in that way, I think so. Are Hindu marriages legal without the registration of the marriages? The Hindu Marriage Act, Tamil Nadu Amendment Act of 1967 was passed, modifying the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 by inserting section 7A. Such marriages are also required to be registered as per the law. So when it is registered, so definitely it is a marriage. Because not everybody is doing all the rituals. The people who are doing the court marriages, what about them? Are they doing any kind of rituals there? Fair enough, but are they doing it? So they are upholding their validity na, in a particular act, as per the particular act. That is the point. 2014 Madras High Court has held that the marriages performed in the secrecy in the offices of advocates and bar association rooms cannot amount to valid marriage under a law. Again आगे कहानी आएगी कि ओवरटर्न कर दिया होगा. The Madras High Court initiate a disciplinary proceedings against the lawyers who preside over secret marriages. In 2023 में Supreme Court overruled the Madras High Court's ruling and observed that self-respect marriages do not require any public solemnization or declaration. So that you need to keep in mind that they have upheld the validity of self-respect marriages. In case if there comes a question, what can be the question? What can be the favorite statement? Which article? Right to live? नहीं. So what was the answer? 21. Right to live ना? अगर हम क्या right to live also come under that only. Other vulnerable sections of the society. So who are included in vulnerable section? We all know. The ration card, not ration cards, unorganized and those migrant workers, transgenders, PVTGs, denotified tribes, persons with disabilities, manual scavenging aspect will come, caste census, the aspects can come from here. ration cards, unorganized and migrant workers. The Supreme Court directed all the states and UTs to ensure that ration cards are issued to 80 million people who are not the beneficiary, who are from migrant and unorganized sector within the next 2 months. These workers are registered on the eShram portal and again they are unorganized and migrant workers. Matching eShram registrants with NFSA beneficiaries has found that nearly 80 million people do not possess ration cards. The Shram portal was launched by Ministry of Labour and Employment. Objective is to create a unified database for unorganized workers to help them access various benefits. Labor codes enforce हुए, 4 labor codes अभी भी enforce नहीं हुआ है. Registered workers are eligible for the 2 lakh on death or 1 lakh on partly disability or partial disability. Now the next is transgender rights. Niti Aayog report best practices in social sector highlighted the Prayatna project, a livelihood and enterprise training program for transgender people in Delhi NCR. So the single statement for you is Prayatna project. It is for transgender people who are living in Delhi NCR, and that is for livelihood and enterprises training. To improve the quality of life for beneficiaries and provide entrepreneurship, the nodal agency will be Ministry of Skill Development and National Skill Development Center. Transgender community, Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019 defines transgender persons as those whose gender do not match to the assigned at the birth. Includes trans men, trans women, intersex individuals and those with cultural identities like Kinnar, Hijra, etc. Transgender Persons Protection of Act 2019 prohibition like ban discrimination in employment, education, housing, healthcare and other services. They give them certificate of identity, right of residence, obligation of educational institutions and National Council for Transgender Persons is being made. What it will do? It will advise the central government on the policies, programs, legislation and projects for transgender persons. The key things are these highlighted aspects. Again, the right to residence also saying one thing. In spite of the sex or gender, not the sex is not the right word, the gender the kid will be having, they will not be separated from the families of transgenders. That is also there. Then government initiatives for transgender community. SMILE is support for marginalized individuals for livelihood and enterprise. Support socio-economic development with sub-schemes for comprehensive rehabilitation. Garima Gri, a shelter home specifically for transgender persons. National Portal for Transgender Persons launched by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Transgenders के लिए कहीं भी कुछ भी आएगा तो we have Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. The portal helps the transgenders person to get the ID card without any physical interface and without having to visit any office. Right? Then PVTGs. ये ट्राइब कहाँ की है ये याद रखना. And for the first time they have casted the votes. Second thing is vulnerability की बात करें, ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन की बात करें तो 8.6% of the population they constitute. And the APAR Commission in 1973 they have talked about, they have taken them as a separate category और गवर्नमेंट ने इनको चेंज किया था PTG से PVTGs. आइडेंटिफिकेशन क्राइटेरिया क्या है? प्री एग्रीकल्चरल लेवल ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, लो लेवल ऑफ लिटरेसी, economic backwardness and a decline or stagnant population. Now post this certain key things. 1975 में 52 थे PVTGs, 23 और को ऐड किया गया 1993 में, अराउंड 75 है out of 705 scheduled tribes and the highest number is in Odisha. Second thing is all 4 tribal groups in Andaman and 1 in the Nicobar Islands are recognized as PVTGs. and you know Sentinels are from Andaman, and the largest population size of Sahara, which is in MP and Rajasthan. Some important PBTGs. There might be, if someday there can some question related to tribes, so there can be some statement related to that. ये आपके पास है, you will go through it. I'm not reading it as of now. Then denotified tribes. पहले notify हुए, फिर denotify हुए. Notify क्यों हुए? Because of the criminal records as per the British. Habitual offenders, yes. And post that, they got denotified. That's why the term denotified is there. The NHRC emphasized the implementation of the IDIT Commission report, which recommend establishing a permanent commission for denotified nomadic and semi-nomadic tribes in India. Hakki Pakki tribal community, semi-nomadic, from Karnataka were stranded in the violence hit Sudan. This was the news, and because of that we need to know certain things. Denotified tribes we have just discussed. Born criminals like British कहते थे, and the Criminal Tribals Act में उनको notify किया गया. Engage in various occupations such as transport, key making, salt trading, entertainment, and pastoralism. Criminal Tribals Act 1871 was replaced by this Habitual Offenders Act 1952. Then बहुत सारे denotified भी हुए उसमें, and according to the Ranke Commission 2008, there are nearly 1500 nomadic, semi-nomadic tribes and 198 notified tribes comprising 15 crores Indians. The only point is ये जो थोड़े commissions वगैरह हैं, not here in UPSC, but for your purpose that can be important. Persons with disabilities, Divyangs. Okay. Okay, might be, there can be different possibilities, like because a lot of them have migrated. For example, the eastern Uttar Pradesh part, the Tharu tribes were there, but now they have reduced to a very small chunk. Otherwise, they were the main people from those sides. Persons with disabilities. Election Commission issued a directive urging political parties to refrain from using derogatory languages against persons with disabilities. The Court of Chief Commissioner of PWDs, not that Public Works Department, delivered 2 judgments about persons with disabilities. Any government office operating from inaccessible buildings must relocate services to accessible locations. Do we have all the offices accessible? The answer is simply no. All airlines, Indian or foreign, are responsible for implementing the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. ये याद रखना, this has been made so much of news. The lady was not allowed to board the flight, and she went to the court also, I guess. Rights of the person. Achha, who decides whether they will be boarding or not? Who are the final authority? The crew members, शायद. आप हर जगह फोन कर लो, सब बोलेंगे आप जा सकते हो. अल्टीमेटली जिनको ऊपर चढ़ाना है वही बोल देते हैं कि आप नहीं जा सकते हो, बिकॉज जो भी इश्यूज हुए हैं वो इश्यूज वहीं पे हुए हैं when you were just about to board the flight. Mandates 5% reservation in government or government aided higher educational institutions, 4% in government jobs, 21 type of disabilities, and that also includes intellectual disability and acid attacks. That is also a part of it. Guarantees free education for children with benchmark disabilities, ensure participation of persons with disabilities in decision making through advisory boards. Not much needed. Constitutional framework क्या है हमारे लिए, ये important है. Article 41 says the DPSP mandates the state to ensure effective provisions for the right to work, education, and public assistance for the disabled within its economic capacity, and the subject of relief of the disabled and unemployable is listed in the state list. of the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So these two things can be important for you. Then different initiatives. There is a unique identification portal, Accessible India campaign, which has made so many ramps for these Divyangs. Deen Dayal Disabled Rehabilitation Schemes, assistance to disabled persons for purchase, fitting or aids and appliances, National Fellowship for Students. So does the appliances or the instruments which are being utilized by disabled come under any GST percentage? It comes under the purview of GST. Then क्या पढ़ेंगे इसको? Incheon या कुछ और पढ़ेंगे? Incheon strategy to make the right real for persons with disabilities in Asia and the Pacific, and United Nations Convention is there for them. ये पूछ सकता है. This is related to the disabled people. Manual scavenging. Do we have manual scavenging in India? On paper? The Union Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment recently highlighted that only 5, not 8 out of 766 districts have declared themselves manual scavenging free. So we had not completely declared ourselves manual scavenging free. Manual scavenging involves manually clearing and disposing of human waste and other waste materials. ये सब आप जानते हैं. It has been officially banned in India since 1993. 93 से बैन है, लेकिन आज भी चीज चल रही है. What are the constitutional safeguards? Article 14, Article 17, 21, 23. Equality before the law and equal protection of law. He is being made inferior. He is being asked to clean the toilets. Inequality आ गई ना वहां पे. Might be he is doing it because you are forcing him to do so. Are there any protection of? Okay, let's discuss. Article 14, what it states. What does it mean? In the eyes of law. In India, it is banned since 1993. That's what I'm saying. Let me make it more detailed for you. If something is banned in India, the practicing of manual scavenging, likewise, most of the cases which we have seen where people have died from manual scavenging, they have been said to do so. But when something is banned in India, or might be there will be some legal provision against it, how they can be told to do so? ठीक है? In special circumstances. अच्छा, tell me one thing. Is it that special circumstance that everybody has to do the manual scavenging? Again, we are talking about right to equality. When we are talking about right to equality, we do a lot of injustice with them. If you read the Article 14 with Article 16 or Article 17 somewhat, are we doing the justice with them or not? Or even again Article 17, which it has been stated. If you will read the entire articles together, all will work. And again with the right to equality and equal protection of the law. Whether the law is protecting them or not, that is another question. Because the people who are involved in the manual scavenging, whether from the government authority or the private authority, by any means both cannot do this as per the law. And they, who is the authority? If we go ahead with your question, Article 13. And what is the definition of state? Okay. So in a district, which are the agencies which we can consider as a state? And whose work is to do the scavenging part or cleaning of the drains part? ठीक है, but the major authority, the main authority, if we say, they hire the people like municipalities. So are they having the right to do so?
After 1996,
They can't, but still it is happening in India. My only view is that right to equality, which you are saying, these are the major things. If you will be reading them together, because states, does state only include the government or the at 3-tier state and the government funding agencies? Don't they include the private agencies? Article 13. And if they have been hired for the same job, or they have done any contractual term with, then they are, right? So in that way,
peculiar questions where the nuances are so fine. You
wait,
need to know that in fact where acts to bring, where acts to become good actions.
but you will nowhere get about it in polity. There is no mention of it. Even most of the books, the good books which we claim, or the direct source books we claim, there is no specific thing. But again, when you will read, there is a lot about the interpretation of things. You will read, it will come under that. I hope I was able to give the answer. Then the legal provisions. ये शायद आपको और ज़्यादा better वो देगा. Prohibition of employment as manual scavengers and their Rehabilitation Act 2013. It prohibits the employment or engagement of anyone as a manual scavenger, and also prohibits the construction or maintenance of in-situ latrines. I hope this will work there, right? Initiatives to reduce manual scavenging, national policy for mechanized sanitation ecosystem, identification of manual scavengers including through the Swachhta mobile app. Swachhta Udyami Yojana provides concessional loans for the procurement of sanitation related equipments, and the national action for mechanized sanitation ecosystem, that is Namaste. It promotes 100% mechanization for cleaning sweepers, septic tanks, drains, sorry, sewers, not sweepers. Sweepers तो बेचारे खुद काम करते हैं. Drains and waste disposal, and the joint initiative of Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment and Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. ये वाला लिख लो आप लोग. This is important for you. Why this is? They may ask the Namaste project or initiative is related to what? Bandicoot, first robot they have installed for the in some temple or something, yeah, temple town of Guruvayur, cleanliness and other for manholes के लिए commission जो manholes है उनकी cleaning के लिए. Caste census कहाँ हुआ? बिहार में. Is it the first stage where caste census has happened? Caste census, caste survey, difference है, but the point is, sorry, थोड़ा सा आप तेज बोलेंगे प्लीज. सेंटर और स्टेट का वो सेंटर लिस्ट में आता है एग्जैक्टली सेंसस, बट हाउ स्टेट हैज डन, द क्वेश्चन इज दैट. सो दे हैव डन द सर्वे, राइट. सो इंडिया में कभी कास्ट सेंसस हुआ है ओवरऑल? Every census is followed by a caste census. Are you sure about it? Do they publish it? They have never published it at all. We also have a socio-economic caste census that has not been published. Before that also a full-fledged caste census has done, but that has not been published. बहुत पहले 1941 में. The state government of Bihar has released a report on the caste survey conducted in the state. Following resolution has been passed. Social survey के नाम से basically. What is the benefit of caste census or caste survey? What else? And how it can benefit the Indian society? Okay. Can we say who to be excluded and who to be included into the reservation policy, which you was about to say? What else? There can be more. Socio-economic caste census का basis क्या था? The government has focused more on those who were not being a part of the process of development, और inclusivity नहीं आई. तो census is a union subject, आप सभी को पता है. Article 246 of the Constitution talks about it. Census Act of 1948 provides a plan for conducting a population census along with the duties and responsibilities of census officers. Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India under your Ministry of Home Affairs is entrusted with the responsibility of conducting the decadal census. यहीं पे चेंज करके आपको क्या दे सकता है? वही स्टैटिस्टिक्स वाले. अगर स्टोरी ऑफ कास्ट सेंसस की बात करें तो 1881 कंटिन्यू टू 1931. पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस फुल कास्ट इन्यूमरेशन अबंडेंट किया गया था एक्सेप्ट SC and ST. Furthermore, socio-economic caste census was conducted and based on by the Ministry of Rural Development and Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Alleviation, the poverty alleviation, basically the office of the Registrar General and Census Commissioner India, state governments के साथ में, they have finalized it but not published it. They have utilized it for giving further benefits to the people who were not a part of it earlier. And that's why there were many schemes of the government. If you see, they were more people centric of different reasons. Subcategorization of scheduled caste. Do we have any kind of system of subcategorization within the scheduled caste? EBCs, extreme backward classes, apart from OBC. The 7-judge Constitution Bench is reviewing the Supreme Court's 2004 judgment in E.V. Chinnaiya versus State of Andhra Pradesh and other case, which started that scheduled castes are homogeneous classes and should not be subdivided. The bench is also examining. So now it is still examining it. So not of much use for you, but you need to know some details. The validity of Punjab Scheduled Caste and Backward Classes Reservation in Services Act 2006, which provided 50% quota and first preference to Valmikis and Mazhabi Sikhs within the SC quota. So that means it is prevalent somewhere, right? Then constitutional provision, Article 341 of the Constitution empowers the President to designate certain castes and classes as scheduled castes in a state or union list. Parliament has the authority to add or remove any caste or tribe from the list. ये एक पॉइंट याद रख लेना. Does state has it? No. State will give a request. वो रिमूव नहीं कर सकते. That's correct. 2011 census places number of scheduled caste in India at 16.6% of total population. Then Article 330 and 332 we all know what it is. 330A, 330B will also come forward for your help related to OBCs and right. Article 338 is for NCSC, yes, constitutional body. Last year there was a question related to constitutional bodies, right? गलत कर दिया था तो इतने दुख से क्यों हाँ बोल. It is, but somewhat it is easier also. 15 तो है. मे का पेज जो नहीं है उनको याद कर लो. That's all. मॉडल प्रिजन एक्ट 2023. इस पे क्वेश्चन आया था कस्टडी पे. जुडिशियल कस्टडी था और क्या था. 2 बार क्वेश्चंस आ चुके हैं आई गेस पिछले 2-3 सालों में. प्रोसीजर्स को लेकर के था. तो व्हाट दे हैव चेंज, लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड. दे हैव मेड अगेन प्रिजन इज अ स्टेट सब्जेक्ट, उस पे लॉ स्टेट ही बना सकता है. So they have made a model prison act, like they have made the APMC act and all. So model prison act to replace the outdated prison act of 1894, aiming to modernize and improve prison administration across states. Prisons, persons detained therein is a state list subject under entry 4 of list 2 of 7 schedule. ठीक है. The responsibility of prison management and administration rests solely with respective state governments, empowering them to enact appropriate legislative provisions. Security provisions. Now, the security within the prison and over law and order situation has been in question many a times. So this makes it important for you. And recent death of somebody has made it more prominent. Basically, that is still in question. If you are going to serve into the services, you must understand this because we are somebody who has to stand for the rule of law. And there, if it is not happening in any of the case, so that becomes difficult for anybody, and that too for some very powerful person. Anyways, imposes penalties for banned items like cell phones, conducts security assessments, segregates prisoners, and implements individualized sentences. Then, well-being of prisoners, establishing open and semi-open prisons, forms a prison development board for prisoners, physical and mental health improvement, incentivizes good behavior and provides separate, so ठीक है. Provisions for technology, integrates new technology like video conferencing for court proceedings. ये तो बहुत हुआ है कोविड के बाद. कोविड के पहले भी था क्या वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग? Was it a possibility? It was. Reports and indices, आप सभी का फेवरेट टॉपिक. कुछ 4-5 रिपोर्ट्स हैं जिसको याद करने में हाय तौबा ना मचाएं, जल्दी से पढ़ लेंगे. कुछ रिपोर्ट्स हैं, कौन पब्लिश करता है दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, माइट बी ऑब्जेक्टिव में भी इंपॉर्टेंट. UNFPA इंडिया एजिंग रिपोर्ट्स, कितने बूढ़े हो रहे हैं हम सब. ग्लोबल हंगर इंडेक्स 2023, SDG नेशनल इंडिकेटर फ्रेमवर्क एनुअल प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट, जेंडर सोशल नॉर्म्स इंडेक्स, ग्लोबल जेंडर गैप इंडेक्स, UHC सर्विस कवरेज इंडेक्स. All these reports are there for you. With all these reports, if you see, क्या भारत बेहतरी की तरफ बढ़ रहा है वेलबींग में? कितने बूढ़े हो जाएंगे आप लोग 2050 तक? कितने बूढ़े होंगे इंडिया में? ये वही आया था जब आपका मेंस का पेपर चल रहा था, उसी टाइम आया था ये एजिंग वाली रिपोर्ट. The UNFPA, India and International Institute for Population Sciences have recently released a report, India Aging Report. The elderly population in India is growing at the rate of 41% per decade. And by 2050, the elderly will constitute over 20% of the population. This over 20% can be more than 50%. The elderly population is projected to exceed the number of children aged 0 to 15 years by 2046 comparatively, अगर comparison आप करेंगे तो, और 80 plus will increase by 279%. Not much important. Important is the involved bodies who have published the report. And again 20%, ये एक figure याद रखना है आपको दिमाग में. Then UNFPA India Aging Report में आगे क्या है? United Nations Population Fund, it is under the UNGA, that is one thing, as a sexual and reproductive health agency with its mandate set by UN ECOSOC. Established in 1967 as a trust fund and commenced operations in 1969. Further, it has been renamed, जो अभी हमने पढ़ा, and UNFPA aims to address key sustainable goals, SDG 3, 4 and 5, that is health, education and gender equality, funded through voluntary contributions from donor governments, intergovernmental organizations, the private sectors, foundations and individuals, and not from the UN budget. So there can be a line, the provisions are being made from UN budget. ये याद रखना. Then Global Hunger Index, GHI, हर बार की तरह हमने कुछ बहुत बेहतर किया होगा इसमें फिर से. Concern worldwide और wealth hunger life, इसको इन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा गैप दे दिया. इट शुड बी इन वन। वो दोनों एनजीओ हैं जो ये रिपोर्ट रिलीज करती हैं। बेसिक थिंग्स आर, ग्लोबल ट्रेंड जो है मिनिमल प्रोग्रेस है सिंस 2015। रीजंस आप सभी को पता है, कोविड पैंडेमिक, रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर एंड अदर स्टफ्स। South Asia and Africa south of the Sahara are noted as the regions with the highest level of hunger. GHI score of 27। अब अगर इंडिया के बारे में भी देखेंगे और की पैरामीटर्स देखेंगे तो अंडर नरिशमेंट 1/3, चाइल्ड स्टंटिंग, चाइल्ड वेस्टिंग और चाइल्ड मोर्टालिटी, ये चार मिला के आपका GHI का स्कोर बनाते हैं। एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट दे फर्दर गिव दैट लो लेस देन 9.9, मॉडरेट, सीरियस, अलार्मिंग और एक्सट्रीमली अलार्मिंग। इंडिया जो है वो सीरियस वाले उसमें है एज पर दिस रिपोर्ट। 111th आउट ऑफ 125 कंट्रीज विद अ GHI स्कोर ऑफ 28.7। मिनिमल प्रोग्रेस हमने किया है। सारे पैरामीटर्स में हमने थोड़ा इंप्रूव किया, ये याद रखना है आपको इसमें भी। दूसरी चीज, GHI जो है वो पोर्शन ट्रैकर डेटा नहीं ले रहा है, ये यूनिसेफ और WHO वर्ल्ड बैंक के डेटा को अपने जो एस्टिमेट्स हैं उनके उसको कंसीडर करता है। एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट इट फॉलोज द रिपोर्ट। नाउ सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स, नेशनल इंडिकेटर फ्रेमवर्क एनुअल प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट 2023। The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has released the Sustainable Development Goals National Indicator Framework Progress Report 2023 and based on that indicators बहुत ज्यादा हैं तो बहुत ज्यादा दिमाग मारने की जरूरत है नहीं। 284 अब जब तक याद करोगे तब तक यूपीएससी का प्रीलिम्स भी हो जाएगा। तो बस ये याद रखना है कि हु इज डूइंग इट, हु इज द नोडल एजेंसी फॉर इट। एंड देन द जेंडर सोशल नॉर्म्स इंडेक्स 2023 यूनाइटेड नेशंस डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम UNDP के द्वारा रिलीज किया जाता है। एंड द रिपोर्ट एम्स टू ड्वेल इनटू द सिस्टमैटिक डिसएडवांटेज एंड डिस्क्रिमिनेशन फेस्ड बाय गर्ल्स एंड वुमेन ग्लोबली। ठीक है, यहां पे दो चीजें दे कैन डू, जेंडर सोशल नॉर्म्स इंडेक्स 2023, they can give some Indian agency and based on that they can ask, or some other agency of the world they can ask. The key things is like political integrity, educational integrity, economic integrity and physical integrity. UNDP reports that nearly 90% of people still hold at least one bias against women. ऐसा है क्या? आप बताएं, आप लोग बताएं, ऐसा है क्या? And how many biases women hold? देखो ये एक biasness आई, this is the part of it. Then Global Gender Gap Index 2023. World Economic Forum, the report assesses gender disparities worldwide across 4 key parameters. Those 4 key parameters are economic participation and opportunities, educational attainment, health and survival, political empowerment. इंडिया में political empowerment है? At local level of democracy, it is. We have almost more than 40% women there. But again, Pradhanpati are taking care of their work. Sarpanchpati, Pradhanpati, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever name they are having. So in 2023 edition, India was ranked 127th out of 146 countries. Majorly, अगर हम देखें तो लोकसभा और स्टेट असेंबलीज के लेवल पे पॉलिटिकल वो उतना नहीं है, इट इज लेस देन 20%. देन यूनिवर्सल हेल्थ कवरेज सर्विस कवरेज इंडेक्स WHO and World Bank released by coverage index for essential health services based on tracer interventions include the reproductive, maternal and child health, infectious diseases, non-communicable diseases and service capacity and access. The key point is communicable and non-communicable diseases both are being checked into it. Worldwide, the index has increased by 23 from 45 in 2000 to 68 in 2021. And in India, the index has further increased, like 33, 30 था 2000 में और अभी 63 है around. It is a target associated with the Sustainable Development Goals, target 3.8, which talks and relates to 3, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages, and the goal 1, to end poverty at all levels. Is poverty responsible for such infectious diseases also? So at the same time, these goals will be checked, and if indices are being that the world is doing better on those parameters, that social coverage aspect. How? Immunization programs, cleanliness programs, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and other things in the context of India. And also giving the houses, Pakka houses. They are also one thing in that. Thank you so much for today. Any questions? If you guys have any questions, you can ask.